Hi everyone, it's Dina. I am here today with a necklace tutorial where we will be using items from the companion pack to Bargain Bead Box's Key Lime Pie collection that was released in March of 2025. So from the companion pack you'll need the following items. You'll need the 12 by 8 millimeter glass flower bead mix that came in with the kit. We're going to use all 16 pieces in the necklace. We're also going to need the crystal faceted rondelle beads in the sea green shimmer. These are 6x4 rondelles, so I'm not quite sure exactly how many of these we're going to need just yet, but a good handful of those. We've got, in the kit, it was 16 inches of these, so there's quite a bit of beads there. So you should have enough to do the necklace that I'm planning on doing. The seed beads that we're going to need are additional. They did not come in the kit, so these are both Miyuki seed beads. This one is the matte white color, and it is number 420F. And this one is the Duracoat galvanized matte hot pink, I believe is that color. But its number is 4210F. Other items that you would need are going to be some bead caps. Now, these are not the colors that came in the Key Lime Pie kit. The Key Lime Pie kit has gold colors, but I felt like this needed to be a little bit more of the silver fashion, so I got some of my silver stuff out. Now, this particular bead cap itself, we actually got in Bargain Bead Box's kit back in November of 2024. So it was only several months ago, so some of you may still have these bead caps sitting around. So something to look into your stash and see if you still have those or not. We're going to use those today. And then these are just some spacer beads that I had from my stash. This one, when I went back and looked in my information as to when I got this was back in 2021. So you may or may not still have these guys. So if you don't have them, optionals for any of these, you can always use the gold that came in the kit and use the spacer beads that came in there. They're round corrugated gold spacer beads, and then there is gold bead caps that came in the companion kit as well. So you can always use that. If you have these guys but you don't have these, then you can always use a silver seed bead, either an 8/0 or just another 11/0, whichever one that you want to. You're also going to need some beading wire. I have Soft Flex's beading wire. It's a medium size. It's a 49 strand. And we're going to use the fluorite color today, which is a nice light color green. And we're only going to need just one crimp tube today. I have a 2x2 crimp tube, so that way I can use my magical crimpers with it. But we're only going to need one of those because the necklace that we're going to end up making today is going to be long enough to where you can just slip it over your head and you don't need a clasp. So go ahead and get these items out and get them ready and set to go, and meet me back and I'll show you that first step. Alrighty, so the first thing that I would suggest for you to do is to lay out your glass flower beads in the pattern that you want to use. Now I'm going to do mine to where it's kind of rainbow in a way color, because we've got the pink, orange, yellow, green, and then we start again pink, orange, yellow, green. But I'm going to have the pink sitting down here in the center of the necklace, and then the green will be up here at the top, or moving our way up that in that direction. So I have all of mine laid out, and that's so when we start the necklace, we're going to start adding these flower beads in one direction, but then once we get to the center part, then we flip and we start adding the beads in the opposite direction. I'll explain it in just a minute if that does not make any sense. So that would be the first thing to do, is go ahead and get your flowers out in the way that you want to string them on. The second thing we'll need to do is we're going to add just one of our crystal rondelles, and then we're going to add 45 of our white seed beads. So I'm not going to make you watch me count out 45 beads. So go ahead and add just one of your rondelles onto your wire, and I am just stringing straight onto the wire that's connected to the spool, and that's so it's just more comfortable for me. Later on, when we get to a point where we will actually crimp and be done with the necklace, then we're going to cut it off at that time. So right now I'm just going to string it straight onto the spool. So go ahead and get your rondelle on there and your 45 white seed beads, and then meet me back and then I'll show you the pattern. Alright, so now that you have your rondelle and your 45 seed beads on, then we're set up to start our pattern. So our pattern is going to be very similar, and the only difference is going to be that you're going to add a different color bead of your flower in each little rotation. So the rotation itself is going to start like this. We're going to have a rondelle, a pink colored seed bead, whichever spacer you want to use, a pink colored seed bead, and a rondelle. So that's the first portion of it. Then we're going to add 7 of our white seed beads. 4, 5, 6, and 7, and that's just to have some space in between everything. Then we're going to add 3 of our pink beads in our first of our flower beads. Now, like I was saying earlier, we want to make sure that our flowers are sitting in the correct direction. I want all of my flowers on my necklace to be facing upwards like this, so both on the left side and on the right side. Right now, technically I'd be working on the left side of the necklace. With that being the case, I need to put my flowers on upside down to start off with. Once we get to the center down here, after we add that first pink one and we go to the second pink one, then we'll flip it and we'll start adding our flowers from the bottom side to the top side. So to start off with, we're going to go from the top to the bottom, just like that, and then we're going to add our bead cap at the end. So then this is the way that should look. See if I can get it to focus. I've got a lot on my bead mat right now. It's trying to focus on everything. So then that's the way it looks at the moment. So I'll go ahead and add a couple more. So right afterwards, we're going to add 7 white beads. And then comes the rondelle section again. So a green rondelle, a pink bead, a spacer, a pink bead, and a rondelle. I wonder if you can hear it raining. It's starting to rain pretty heavy out there now. So there's that. So now we're in between, so we're going to add 7 of our white beads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to add our second of our flowers, going in this direction. So going through the top towards the bottom. And then adding one of our bead caps to where it's hugging the bottom of the flower, like that. So now this is what you should have, something similar to this on your necklace. So that's all this necklace it consists of, essentially, is that we add a rondelle section with those 5 beads, and then we add 7 white seed beads. Then don't forget, oh, see, I forgot. I forgot the pink beads. So you need to add the 3 pink beads before you add your flower bead. So let me go back and do that real quick so I don't mess anybody up, which I probably already did. I apologize if I did. So we're going to add 3 of our pink beads. And then we add our flower bead. And then the bead cap after that. And then just make sure that the bead cap is hugging your flower bead. Now that looks better. I felt like I was forgetting something. So again, your pattern is that where it is the 5 beads for the rondelles, then you have 7 white beads, and then your flower combination is 3 pink beads, the flower, and then the bead cap. Then you end with 7 more white seed beads, and then you start again. So go ahead and complete all of that until you get to the center of the necklace, and then meet me back, and then I'll do just a quick little reminder on showing you how to get the flower beads on in the correct fashion. So I'll meet you back in a second. Alrighty, so the first half of the necklace is strung on. So here is my last of my pink beads. That's going to be the one of the ones that's going to be in the center. So when you pick this up and you would hold it on your neck like this, all your flower beads would be facing upwards. So this little rondelle section right here, that's next to my right fingers, and that is going to be the center of your necklace. So now we need to continue on and add our next bead, our next flower bead. So I've already got the 7 of the white seed beads there. So now we need to add our flower section, but it's going to be in the opposite way. So we need to start off with adding our bead cap, and then the bead cap would be going in the opposite direction, so you're going through the tip and coming out the larger end of it. And then we add our next flower bead facing upwards. So you go through the bottom of it and come out the top of that one. And then that lets your flower and your bead cap sit correctly like that. To move on, you would add your 3 seed beads of your pink color, and then that is your floral section added. So your next part would be your 7 seed beads and the white, 5, 6, and 7, and then you would do your rondelle section. And I need to get some more rondelles out. I don't have enough out. So that way, now you can see how I was talking how your flowers would be sitting in an upward fashion when you put the beads on in that way. So go ahead and continue adding on the rest of your flower beads. Once you get to your last flower bead, meet me back after that, and then I'll show you how to add the last little section of beads, and then we'll tie off after that, and we'll be done with our necklace. Meet you back in a second. Okay, so we've got our last of our flower beads put on, and I've got the 3 little pink seed beads there. So now what we need to do is make sure that this end that we're working on looks similar to the end that we started on. So what we'll need to do is add another round of 7 white seed beads, and then 1 more round of our crystal and our spacer beads with the pink beads in with it. Then after that, if you remember correctly, we added 45 white seed beads. Then we ended with another one of our rondelles. So go ahead and add those. Add that little section of seed beads there. Again, this is a lot of beads for me to count, so I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me count that many. So go ahead and add that section, and then meet me back and I'll show you how we cut the wire off and then we crimp and get done with the necklace. Meet you back in a second. Alrighty, so here's our jumbled mess. Just kidding. This is the necklace all wound up, just so I can kind of sort of get it on the screen all at once, because it's really, really long. So what I ended up doing is the working thread, I went ahead and put a bead stopper on the end of that, just so my beads don't go flying off of that. I also left myself a couple of inches over here off to the side, about 2 inches or so, that I can work with, so that way I can string the bead stopper on and then get it crimped. So we're going to do the same thing over on this side. Just leave yourself a couple of inches and go ahead and cut off. And what we'll need to do is add our crimp tube on. So with this many beads on here, you do want to make sure that you have most of your beads, of course I'm covering up what I'm doing here, most of your beads are pretty tight, because these bead caps sometimes don't sit directly on top of the bead. Sometimes it'll be sitting off to the side a little bit. So you want them a little tight just to make sure they're sitting in the correct way. So I'm holding off to the left off camera. I'm holding the ends of it and just trying to make sure that all the beads are pretty much where I want them to be. And that's pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the bead cap, or the bead stopper. I'm going to put the crimp tube on one of the ends, doesn't matter which one at the moment. And then we're going to use the other end, so that was going from the left to the right through the crimp tube, and then we're going to take the right hand side and go from the right to the left. So we're crossing through that crimp tube. And then just come to the center just like that. And then I'm praying this works, because I've never done this before. So what I want to do, before you go too far, I do want to go ahead and go through the crystals. That's why I put the crystals there. And yes, you will have a definitive back to this necklace and a definitive front to this necklace. So let's go ahead and go through that crystal because I did forget to do that. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that I had crystals on either side of the crimp tube. And the seed beads, sometimes you can't go through the seed beads twice with the wire. With the 11-ohs at least. Sometimes it works perfectly fine with 8-ohs, but 11-ohs I always have a little bit of an issue. So now this is where you have to be a little careful with what you're doing, because you have to have enough room for your crimper to be able to get in between. Come on, focus. There we go. To be able to get in between those two beads, and see how it will just barely fit right now. So I'm holding on to both ends. I have one end in between a couple of fingers down here, and then the other end is on the other side over here. So I'm holding it tight, but not too tight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position that crimp bead in the middle of the crimper, but then allow the crimper to move the crystal beads out of the way. So not hold it too tight. And then I just want to make sure that I'm in the center of the crimp. And the pliers. I'm just pulling a little bit tight again because I think I got it a little too loose. Oop, now I'm having issues holding it. See, like I said, I hadn't done this yet before, so I'm hoping this works. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so getting that crimp inside of the crimper in the center of that little concavity. I keep losing it. I keep dropping it. It gets in the center and then I drop it. Okay, so I'm just going to trust myself. Here we go. Ooh, I got somewhat of a flattened square. Okay, we're good. I'm happy. So now you just do your normal crimp. You turn it on its side and get it back into the center of the crimper again, and then squish down again. And then turn it around and keep doing that until you have a nice little ball of crimp. And meanwhile, your beads will kind of move just a little bit because we allowed the crimper to move the crystals out of the way, so you're going to have a little bit of leeway in your necklace, which is fine. There we go. Now that's crimping a little bit better. And you know you're done with crimping when you do not feel any more resistance. And let's see, there's one little spot right here that's a little wonky looking. But every time I use this thing, I'm getting better at it. That's actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So now you're crimped. Now you have a necklace. Okay, so let's cut off our excess. So just go straight up against the bead and then trim that part off. Straight up against this bead. And, oops, trim that part off. And then now you have a finished necklace. So here is your wound up necklace that is really, really long, and I will measure it and let you know how long it is in my end clip here in just a second. Alrighty, so here is your approximately 31-inch long necklace. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button so that way you'll be notified when I come out with a new video. And I think somebody's at my door right now, so I apologize for the dog barking. But also don't forget about going to my Etsy site because I'll have this necklace as well as several other items up there for you to purchase if you're interested in purchasing it. So check that out if you don't mind. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.